It was just another normal morning when I answer a knock on my door, only to find three men standing there, looking like they'd shopped for tactical gear online. The first one was holding a clipboard, the second one wore an annoying smirk, and the third stood there flexing like he was auditioning for some low-budget cop drama. "Sir, you're in violation of neighborhood regulations," said the one with the clipboard. "Section 7B, unauthorized possession of weapons within community limits." I blinked. Neighborhood regulations? I didn't even belong to an HOA. The guy with the clipboard then flashed a badge, but it looked more like something you'd find in a novelty store around Halloween. "We need you to hand over your firearms." Now, I'm not one to lose my cool, but I've been in situations where things can get messy fast. And right then, I had a feeling this wasn't some official check. Something felt off. I wasn't just being hassled. I was being set up. These guys were out to mess with the wrong person. I kept my composure and said, "Mind waiting here for a sec?" Then I stepped inside, acting like I was grabbing some paperwork. What I was really doing was pulling out my tablet, which I'd linked to security cameras around the house, and a pen I'd modified into a discreet microphone. Old habits die hard. I watched them through the feed as they whispered to each other, clearly not expecting me to stall. One of them even started texting, probably signaling for backup. That's when it hit me. This wasn't an amateur operation. They were organized. And there was something even stranger, their car. It was a matte black SUV with no plates, parked a couple of blocks down. Clearly, they were trying to be discreet. I turned on my cameras, recording everything, both audio and video. Then I stepped back outside with a plan. I was about to call their bluff. "Mind showing me your credentials again?" I asked, handing them a blank piece of paper with a grin. The guy with the clipboard squinted. "We already did." "Oh, really?" "Because I just checked with a real HOA, and they've never heard of you," I said. "This neighborhood doesn't even have an HOA." The guy with the smug smirk took a step forward, like he was trying to intimidate me. "Are you sure you want to make this difficult?" I didn't blink. "This is me making it easy," I shot back. That's when the guy with the phone made a move like he was about to leave, but I caught it. He mouthed a name and a code. That's when I knew they weren't working alone. I smiled, nodded, and told them, "This conversation is over. If you step on my property again, we'll have a different kind of chat." They tried to look tough, but they were clueless. As they walked away, I was already tracking their SUV, which I'd spotted earlier. I had it tagged, make, model, even the dent on the bumper. I wasn't calling the cops. I was calling a bluff. About 10 minutes later, I was in my truck tailing them. I swapped my hoodie for a baseball cap, grabbed my GoPro, and jumped into my old Tacoma like I was back on a mission. They never even saw me coming. They looped around neighborhoods and pulled into a sketchy industrial park behind a storage unit. Real subtle. I parked a half block away and watched them through a zoom lens. That's when things got even weirder. Another guy showed up, older, bald, dressed like a failed car salesman. He handed over what looked like a folder and a wad of cash. I got all on camera, and that's when it clicked. This wasn't just about me. These guys were running a full-blown scam, posing as HOA enforcers, extorting money from homeowners. They were targeting easy targets, people who wouldn't question fake notices or didn't have anyone to back them up. Over the next few days, I tracked them again. Same routine. Knock on doors, flash fake badges, make up violations, then either demand threats or cash envelopes. But what hit me the hardest was who they were targeting. A single mom, an elderly couple, and a man in a wheelchair who hadn't even left his porch in weeks. These weren't random houses. They were picking the vulnerable ones. I couldn't just stand by and watch, so I started building a case. I grabbed screenshots, compared the fake documents they handed out with the real ones, and caught them slipping up on their own script. One guy said Code 7B, while the other said Violation 14C. Amateurs, but still dangerous. They weren't just trying to scare people into compliance. They were trying to take weapons from homes. And that was a personal line for me. Firearms weren't just tools for me. They were a part of my life, tools I trained with and that had saved lives, including my own. When I thought about that old vet down the street, shaking in his doorway, holding one of their fake notices, I knew I couldn't let it go. They told him he had 72 hours to comply or face legal action. He believed them. It wasn't just about my house anymore. It was about making sure the next door they knocked on wasn't their last mistake. I set a trap. hidden cameras, audio triggers, and a decoy notice on my door to bait them back. And when they returned, I was ready. They came back on a Thursday afternoon, and I didn't even answer the door. I'll let the motion sensor cameras do the work. One in the porch light, one in a flower bed, and one hidden inside a lawn gnome I bought just for this stunt. Yeah, it was ugly, but got the angle. They slipped a new fake notice under my door and spoke into my ring cam, threatening to escalate. I almost laughed. Escalate, I thought. Buddy, I invented escalation. I waited until they were halfway down the block before I grabbed my gear and followed them. This time, I wasn't just watching. I was going to take these guys down. I tailed them back to their hideout, parked across the street, and went full recon mode, gloves, hat, GoPro rolling. I had the footage live streaming to a private cloud and ready to send. I hit send on the email. Every clip, every photo, every frame of them shaking down elderly neighbors and lying to my face. It all went straight to a local watchdog group, a few reporters, and some veteran buddies I knew wouldn't let it go. And just for fun, I sent it to them too. 5 minutes later, I watched panic unfold inside their building. The guy with the clipboard stormed out, yelling into his phone, and the bald guy threw a box into the back of the SUV like he was trying to destroy evidence. They tried to flee, but I wasn't just following them with my truck. I had two buddies, former Marines, watching from their own cars. We weren't blocking them in, we were herding them. They ended up in a cul-de-sac, trapped. And that's when I stepped out. No gun, no yelling, just the tablet in my hand, screen glowing, showing them caught on 3 different cameras. Game's over, I said. Their faces drained of color. You like picking on people who can't fight back? I asked. You like shaking down old folks? One of them opened his mouth to respond, but thought better of it. I flipped through the footage, showing them every moment of their worst decisions. Extortion, impersonating officials, and threatening people with firearms. And then I said it. Jail? The kind where nobody calls you sir. The bald guy tried to fake his cool, saying, "You don't have proof that's admissible." I smiled. I don't need it to be admissible. I need it viral. The footage quickly spread across local Facebook groups and neighborhood forums, with people calling out the fake enforcers, tagging reporters, and filling the comments. Soon, sirens blared, not because I called them, but because someone in the crowd flagged the live stream to a deputy who recognized one of the scammers. 2 cruisers arrived, and it was game over. The scammers tried to play innocent, but one cop looked at the footage and asked, "You know, impersonating a housing official is a felony?" They were cuffed right there in front of everyone. The whole neighborhood celebrated. 2 days later, we had a block party. Lawn chairs, burgers, and a bouncy castle. The grandma with the poodle? She became our new neighborhood mayor. I uploaded the footage not for fame, but to help others recognize fake authority. Silence fuels scammers, but when one person stands up, everyone stands taller. Next time someone shows up at your door, demanding your rights, remember, ask questions, record everything, and maybe even keep a gnome camera handy. Trust me, it's a move you won't regret.